Shalom in your heart and home. My name is Rachel-Selah, and I just want to say welcome to Acho-Tea Talk. Acho-Tea Talk is just a space where you can talk about things regarding womanhood and spirituality, and just from a practical perspective. It's not esoteric, it's not spooky, it's just practical, everyday testimonials and I don't want to call it advice because I don't feel comfortable with ever giving anyone advice, but so we'll just go with practical everyday testimonials and about womanhood and motherhood and anything else that the Most High places upon me to share with you. So welcome, and I look forward to sharing my experiences with you, and I pray that they're helpful. I pray that they're ignoring my background. Thank you. It's a messy house of a busy mother. I pray that they're helpful, and I pray that they're received in the spirit in which I'm sharing them. I'm not an expert in any way, so I don't want anyone to think that I'm claiming to be an expert, but I do have 14 years of experience as a mother and 6 births under my belt, and I am also a doula, and look forward to eventually being a midwife. So I'm sure you can hear my noisy babies in the background, so I'm going to make this video quick. Today I wanted to talk about computers. Okay, I hope that actually doesn't show up in the video, but my screen went dark for a second, so I'm trying to do this. I'm new to this whole thing, and I didn't do it as an Instagram live because I feel like what I'm going to share is helpful, and I want people to be able to have access to it at any point that they need it. So I'm gonna speed up my talking and get to the point. I'm making this video to speak about birthing during the pandemic of COVID-19. So many people that I love are having babies, and I myself, I don't know if I mentioned it, have recently had a baby as well. She's about 2 months, and the experience of being pregnant during the beginning of the pandemic and the experience of dealing with a practitioner and having to switch, and I know that these are the concerns that I face. I know that these are concerns facing all of the women who are pregnant currently during this pandemic, but especially Black women like myself. And so I'll give a brief, just a brief story of my experience of birthing during the pandemic. So when the pandemic started to get into full effect as far as like people getting us having quarantine and social distancing, I think I was maybe about 5 months into my pregnancy, and I was already unhappy with my practitioner. I decided to go with an OB this time instead of having a home birth as I had prior, because for me, being pregnant a 6th time, I wanted to have possibly a scheduled cesarean. I was considering a scheduled cesarean. Oh no, perish the thought. All of you natural birth warriors out there definitely would frown upon that, but I'm a no judgment mother, and every mom deserves to have the birth that she needs to, that will work for her. So at the time, I was definitely considering having a scheduled cesarean. So I was going with an OB, and about at my 5th month, I really realized that an OB's model of care isn't for me, for several reasons. The main being, I felt like chattel, and I felt like not a patient or not someone who was receiving care from the OB, but just a number. And she just was ticking off, ticking off, ticking off, ticking off. It wasn't an organic experience that I had prior, with, maybe I'm just partial to midwives, but the care that I received from the midwife in my prior pregnancy, which had been a year and a half earlier, was, it was like night and day. The care was like night and day. And so I started to feel upset and be angry at my visits. And, it was getting to a point where I was telling my OB that, like, there was no point in me. I would come to the visits and not understand what I was doing there. Because not understand what I was doing there. Because the tests that they were running weren't necessary, number one. Number two, there was no point in me being there because I knew that I was fine. And so I realized something about what was happening. It was like, I don't have time to go to unnecessary doctor appointments if I know that I'm fine and I've been pregnant long enough. Now, I do see the benefits of having so many appointments for a mom who may not necessarily be as in tune with her body or have the experience to know if something's wrong, or, if there's any changes that she may not notice. Yes, those appointments are perfectly valid. But for someone such as myself, it was a complete waste of time. And so the pandemic hit. And then they started the social distancing and started quarantining people, and the schools closed down. And so I started to get a little anxious because I was like, I don't want to. What's the protocol of giving birth in a hospital? How are you going to keep the germs or cross contamination from happening? How are you going to keep the floor of labor and delivery safe? How will I have my support be there for me when I'm giving birth? So those are things that I was thinking about.